Champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time in my career, I won a Bomber of Money tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, technique. Salute technique. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, Dream Fights. Dream Fights. Has the family today. It's Wednesday, the hump day edition of Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Heading toward the weekend. Virgil Ortiz and Lubin. I keep wanting to say Eric Sandy Lara, but it's Lubin, right? This weekend. A lot of people got Lubin. I got Virgil. Close fight decision. Virgil's going to get it. He trying to build Virgil, follow the money. But salute technique. How are you today? Yeah, we're going to talk about some dream fights. We got Hagler versus Roy Jones. We got Alexis Arguello versus Salvador Sanchez, and that one almost happened. I believe Salvador Sanchez and Alexis Arguello's teams were in talks when Salvador Sanchez had that fatal accident. What was it, 1982? Yeah. But it's going to happen today. Okay, Alexis Arguello and Salvador Sanchez, and Joe Louis versus Evander Holyfield. Then they try to get them 3 in, and then we got a couple other things. But yeah, it's hump day on the way downhill to the weekend. And well, it's fights every day somewhere. But the big one of this weekend is Virgil Ortiz and Lubin. I keep forgetting his first name. I always say Lubin mixed up with Erislandy Lara. I know it starts with E. They got the same initials, EL. Erislandy Lara and somebody, Edmonton Lubin, I don't know. I can't even think of his first name. But yeah, we're going to have our fight of the day first. And we're going to have like 3 dream fights. And then we're going to talk about who was the most naturally gifted heavyweight boxer who never reached their full potential. We're going to talk about that in a little while. Okay? But let's get to the fight of the day today. We always reach down into the archives and come up with a classic fight to start the show off. So let's get into our fight of the day for today, Wednesday, November the 5th, 2025. Okay, the fight of the day today is Jose Napales versus Billy Backus 2. Was the second fight between those two. Backus wasn't the first fight. And we're going to take a look at the second fight now. But before we get started, I got to find out what Lubin's first name is, because for the life of me, I can't think of it. Wow. It's crazy. Erickson. Okay. Erickson Lubin. Yeah, let's get him and Erislandy Lara mixed up. Names very similar. Crush the Legend in the building. What's up, Crush? 6 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday. Bringing that fantastic boxing talk. Boxing, music, all kind of subjects. And keep your eye out for Ladies' Night with Crush the Legend. We got that coming. Looking forward to that. That should be good. Crush is going to get with some of the ladies in these YouTube streets, and they're going to do some talking over there. Boxing, and I know it's going to be a number of subjects. Crush is a very versatile guy. But salute Crush the Legend. How are you today? We're going to talk about a few dream fights, and then we got some other stuff too. Like, who was the most naturally gifted heavyweight boxer you believe that never reached their full potential? Okay, we're going to talk about that. But first, the fight of the day is Jose Napales versus Billy Backus 2, June 4th, 1971. Okay, 54 years ago, June 4th, 1971. Going back a ways today. Napales versus Backus 2. You know, the great Carmen Basilio middleweight from the 50s. Billy Backus is his nephew, his sister's son, okay? So he had some great boxers in his genes, you know? But let's go. Napales versus Backus. You got Technique and Crush the Legend in the building so far. Salute, gentlemen. Appreciate you. Now, Cuba's messy political issues in the last half century have made for countless stories of struggle and triumph, though more the former than anything else. From rafting across shark-infested waters to Florida, to defecting in the middle of international amateur competitions under the guise of getting a snack, and either way, leaving behind family and loved ones, Cuban boxers who exiled themselves to enter the pro ranks have endured hardship and took great risk, right? That though sometimes the hardship came courtesy of the squalid slums they were born into, like the stifling Santiago de Cuba area that birthed Jose Napales. Napales was determined to follow in the footsteps of Cuban greats like Kid Gavilan, Kid Chocolate, and Black Bill. And after boxing was banned by Fidel Castro's revolutionary government in 1961, Napales defected to Mexico he was given a surprisingly warm reception in his adopted home country, despite a tendency to box rather than punch, even though he could do both quite well. His predilection toward gliding earned him the nickname Matty Killer, or Butter, as in smooth. Yeah, that was his nickname, Butter. Smooth dude, man. Oh yeah, oh, that's good to hear, Quest. Quest says I'm good. All right. Yeah, I missed you this morning, but I know it was something nice. I'm gonna have to catch the playback. Yeah, the Apollo's nickname was Matty Killer. In English, that means smooth, or butter, meaning he was smooth. Okay, so it didn't hurt that Apollos had also picked up manager Carlos Cuco Conde, a fellow defector from Cuba to Mexico. And Carlos had been a sports announcer, writer, and then a boxing promoter. He had done all that in Cuba before he defected to Mexico. So that's who Jose picked up as his manager. Carlos, big boxing guy. Okay, Ernie Boxing in the building. What's up, Ernie Boxing? Another great channel. Comes on at night. He just like 30-some shows into his podcast, off to a roaring start. Make sure y'all subscribe to these great podcasts. Crush the Legend, Ernie Boxing. You'll come back and thank me. Anybody who's in the sound of my voice, Crush the Legend, Ernie Boxing. Y'all don't know what you're missing. Okay, make sure y'all subscribe to these gentlemen's great channels. Okay, so when Apollos got his chance at the welterweight title in 1969, after having torn through whatever ranked fighters he could get his hands on in Mexico, his record was an impressive 59 wins and 4 losses with 38 knockouts. Of his losses, the Apollos avenged all but one, and by stoppage. All those 3 out of the 4 he avenged were all by stoppage. He avenged 3 of his 4 losses, all by stoppage. If he had any serious weakness, it was his skin, as his only stoppages were by cuts. Only time he'd been stopped in fights were by cuts. Okay? So it was his only weakness was his skin. He cut easy. That's a bad weakness to have in boxing, right? Now, the Apollos had fought north of Mexico's border only twice in his career, at the Forum in Inglewood, California, and against fighters who weren't on his level. No big names would dare come to Mexico to face him, and no American promoter would put up the money to get an Apollos across the border for a significant fight. That's where legendary Los Angeles promoter George Parnassus proved crucial to Apollos' success, as he worked to get him a shot at champion Curtis Coates. Okay. Now, Coates had several losses already, but only one by stoppage to Philly fighter Stanley Kitten Haywood. But Apollos was no kitten, and he battered Coates until the champion stayed on the stool after round 13. 2 months later, Apollos stopped Coates in the rematch, only sooner this time, and then he went on to defend the title against aging great Emil Griffith, and then Danny Little Red Lopez's brother, Ernie. 2 more non-title fights in the last half of the 1970s brought Apollos to a December title defense against Billy Backus in Syracuse, New York, a stone's throw from Backus' hometown of Canastota, New York. Okay? Remember, they fought twice. This would be the first fight between the two, him and Backus. Okay? And this one was in Syracuse, a stone's throw from Backus' hometown of Canastota. That's where the Hall of Fame is too, right? Canastota. Okay? So even though he was the nephew of former welterweight great Carmen Basilio, Backus had been introduced to boxing through restaurant owner and fight manager and trainer Tony Graciano in the 1950s. The Graciano had a gym, and years later, he told him how he learned the Backus' relationship to Carmen Basilio. He told her how he learned that Bacchus was Carmen Basilio's nephew. He said, I was outside the bank one day, and Nellie, Carmen Basilio's sister, strolls up to me and says, hey, you got my kid boxing in your gym. So he said that was Nellie's kid, and that's Carmen Basilio's sister. He never knew that was Carmen Basilio's nephew, the great Carmen Basilio, until his sister told him that was her son, right? Small world. Anyway, Bacchus, a tough, scrappy, punching little bastard. That's what Graciano said about it, right? And Bacchus learned his trade by taking lumps in the gym. A reported amateur record of 13 wins and 2 losses included 2 regional titles at featherweight and a semifinal showing in the 1961 Nationals. Bacchus turned pro later that year, but his record was uneven at best. Notable successes, the exception, not the rule. In his first 8 years as a pro, his best win was a knockout of Canadian journeyman Dave Hilton Sr., father of the famous Fighting Hilton brothers. In need of funds, Bacchus often worked multiple jobs, and in need of a win streak, he put together a few victories over fringe contenders and journeymen. 5 straight in 1970, setting him up for a title shot against Nepalese. That's what set up the first fight, okay? Went on a 5-fight winning streak, so they gave him a shot against the champion. All right, salute Mike Rem. What's up? Mike Rem has arrived. Fight of the day is Jose Nepalese versus Billy Bacchus 2. Okay? So, this is the first fight. In the third round of a bloody brawl, and with both men already cut significantly over the right eye, Nepalese ran full force into the southpaw challenger's head, causing a horrible gash over his left eye. So now he cut over both eyes. This second cut prompted the referee to stop the fight in the 4th round and award Bacchus the title. Okay? Stop throwing cuts. The Syracuse crowd went wild, and upstate New York had another champion. Bacchus would later say in an interview with Dan Hanley that he fought 9-1 favorite Nepalese literally for free the first time, as his representative, the Canastota Boxing Club, was somehow outwitted by Parnassus, which was Nepalese's promoter. So Bacchus said he literally fought that first fight for free. Wow. And there's a shot of Bacchus and his famous uncle, Carmen Basilio. Bacchus on the left, Carmen Basilio on the right. Yeah, I guess you could tell that, Carmen Basilio with the receding hairline. Damn, Carmen, time to cut that thing bald, man. It'd be looking like Bozo soon. Okay, but let's continue. Yeah, that's him and his uncle Carmen, though. Let's continue. So, Bacchus won the first fight on cuts, okay? So Nepalese was forced to heal up for a few months. But for the rematch, legendary trainer Angelo Dundee was brought in, because Angelo Dundee was a good on cuts. He was a trainer and cut man. And he was brought in for his noted ability to do quick cut work between rounds, something his former charge, Carmen Basilio, knew all about. So Angelo Dundee came in to be Nepalese's trainer, but his opponent, Bacchus, was a nephew of Carmen Basilio. Angelo Dundee used to train Carmen Basilio, right? A knockout of former title challenger Manuel Gonzalez had Nepalese in position for a rematch, this time back at the Forum in California. In the meantime, Bacchus had won 2 fights, including a victory over Robert Galois in Paris. So they're both coming off of wins for the rematch. Bacchus had two wins in between their 2 fights. Now, this time Bacchus, he was a 9-1 underdog the first fight. This time Bacchus was installed as a 2-1 underdog despite the win in the first fight. They still had the Nepalese favorite, but at least he wouldn't be fighting for free this time. Now, Nepalese took the sparring with light heavyweight Roger Rouse, and on June 3rd, the day before the fight, Napolis told the Associated Press reporters he was upset that a sparring partner didn't show up that day. In fact, the word in the gyms was that the Cuban had sent several sparring partners packing. Now, Basilio, who had recently stepped in as trainer for his nephew, Bacchus, didn't care. He told reporters, Billy is ready. The weight is no problem. He's ready to go 15 rounds if necessary. Okay? And there's a shot of Napolis and Bacchus right there. Bacchus on the left, Napolis on the right, right over top of their names, okay? This was the rematch, Friday, June 4th, 1971. 15 rounds of boxing for the World Welterweight Championship, held by Bacchus. Remember, because he took it from Napolis in the first fight. Now, Graciano was more colorful with his language when asked about Napolis and the support of the Mexican fans at the Forum. Graciano was Bacchus's manager, remember. He was asked about all the Mexican fans that was going to be in attendance to support Napolis at the Forum, because it's on the West Coast this time. Graciano said, I don't care if they got half the country of the Mexican army in the building. We got that daggone blood in us, and we don't give a hoot how tough he is. When that fight starts, those fans cannot get in the ring and help him. He got a point there, yeah. Fans can't get in there. So, early in the fight, it appeared as if Napolis might indeed require outside assistance. As in the first minute of the first round, his right eye was split open, right? Bacchus's right jab was catching Napolis with surprising regularity, as Napolis stayed in range after punching for some reason, rather than stepping to the side or away. And remember, I said earlier, Bacchus's biggest weakness was his skin. He cut easy. And in the first minute of the first round, he's cut, okay, in the rematch. Now, Napolis' sharp but winging shots were catching Bacchus early too, however. And the champion's face was reddened as a result. Now, though there wasn't any actual brawling, the introduction period was cut short as well, and round two continued with both fighters landing stinging shots. More measured was Napolis' pace until the final minute, which featured a great sequence of punch trading. Now, Napolis, peering through a crimson veil, got the better of it and inflicted a cut near Bacchus' eye before the bell. So now they both cut early in the fight, just like the second round, right? They both cut. That's just the weigh-in before the fight right there. Right there. That's just the weigh-in. So now they both cut. It's just like the second round. Napolis had a history of being cut, okay? Now, Bacchus had figured out the range for Napolis' hooks to the sideburns. So in round three, Napolis used jabs and lead right hands to stave off Bacchus' rushes, puff up his right eye, and wrest control of the fight. After the fight, Napolis said, I think I solved his style about the third round. More rights and jabs in the fourth round proved that he had. And the movement from Napolis became more subtle and shifty, causing most of what Bacchus chucked to fall short, even though the Cuban's bad cut was reopened. But that's why he brought Angelo Dundee in, and Angelo Dundee controlled the bleeding, which meant Napolis had time to figure out the distance, which he did. You know, like the first fight, he was stopped on cuts. That's why he brought in Angelo Dundee, trainer and cut man, excellent cut man. And Angelo Dundee stopped the bleeding. Okay, should have had Angelo the first time. Now, round five continued with Napolis setting his basic traps that Bacchus walked right into, and a cut soon opened over the left eye of the champion in the sixth round. Now, Bacchus' eye puff turned into a more grotesque kind of swelling, and Napolis used the lead right to dust off his left hook and jar Bacchus with it in round seven. Fatigue and facial damage on the part of the champion betrayed his lack of defense And in round 8, Napolis again found openings for the hook and twice sent Bacchus to the canvas. Bacchus went down 2 times in round 8. Bacchus is all cut up and weakening now. After the second knockdown, the referee had the ring doctor examine young Bacchus, and the fight doctor told the referee to stop the fight. So that's ironic, remember? Bacchus won the title from Napolis on cuts in the first fight. Then in the second fight, Napolis won the title back on cuts. Right? And there's Napolis. He won his title back. The same way he lost it on cuts. The 15,000 fans in attendance who were overwhelmingly in support of Napolis roared in approval as Napolis himself exalted, shouting, Maite Tulu, Maite Tolo. Yeah, that's what he was shouting. Or something like that. This is what he was shouting right here. Because I know I didn't say it right. After he won, that's what he was shouting. And I didn't even spell it right. Okay, let's continue. So we can get to these dream fights and some other stuff. Okay, there it is. I don't know. Oh, it was right the first time. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Napolis got his title back. So after the fight, Bacchus would largely become fodder for serious contenders. He came like a gatekeeper, test for young fighters and stuff, right? And he was stopped repeatedly for cuts around his eyes. So Bacchus had a problem with cuts just like Napolis. He did put together a respectable enough win streak in 1978 to justify a shot at WBA welterweight champion Jose Pepino Cuevas, who cut up Bacchus's eyes some more in just one round. And they stopped that fight. And that loss signaled the end of Bacchus's career. Okay? And it would take a veritable middleweight titan like Carlos Monzon to keep Napolis down the next time. Mantequilla suffered a defeat to King Carlos Monzon. He went up to middleweight. Shouldn't have went up there messing with King Carlos. That was his next defeat. The Cuban exile would defend this title, but he still kept his welterweight title. He went back down. And the Cuban exile would defend this title 9 times over the next few years, with wins over standout talents Armando Muniz and Hedgemon Lewis. By the time he retired after an upset loss to John Stracey in 1975, he had succeeded in honoring the proud fighting tradition of his compatriots of Cuba, Kid Gavilan, Kid Chocolate, and Black Bill. Okay, and that's the fight of the day. Jose Napolis and Billy Bacchus, 2. And there's your winner, Jose Napolis. Okay, let's get to some of these fights. Now, we just got a couple. And we're going to get to a couple of other things, too. Marvin Hagler and Roy Jones. Okay. How's everybody today? It's Hump Day. This is the Hump Day edition of Cash Sports the Boxtorian. Heading for the weekend, and we got Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin. Was it Erickson Lubin? Told you I get him and Erickson Lara mixed up. Erickson Lara, Erickson Rubin, right? Yeah. But it should be a good fight. Intriguing. I can't wait to see it. Mm-hmm. Okay, Roy Jones. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus Roy Jones. Bernard Hopkins went 12 rounds with Roy Jones and couldn't beat him because of Jones's extraordinary speed. But Jones could not hurt Bernard either. Okay? Hagler had a chin at least as hard as Hopkins, but a lot more speed and athleticism in his prime. Hagler walks Jones down and stops it. Okay. Roy Jones Jr. was a generationally great fighter, but his best weight was not middleweight, but super middleweight. Marvin Hagler was also generationally great, one of the 3 best middleweights who ever lived. At middleweight, Marvin triumphs, and Hagler never fought at any other weight but middleweight, remember? He fought his entire career at middleweight. Hagler did. Arnie Boxing says, Pro Box Friday, also an interesting fight. Flash versus Tiger. Oh, yeah, Tiger. That's right. Tiger is back in there this weekend. Yeah. Tiger Johnson. I forgot about that. Thank you, Arnie. Yeah. That's Friday. Yeah, Tiger Johnson. Back in action. Hope we do better than the last time. His corner was screaming at him to let his hands go. And I don't know what was wrong with Tiger. But that's a good move for him. Going to Pro Box, you know. Getting some visibility and stuff over there, yeah. And working his way back to the big time. Yeah, that is a very good move for Tiger. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you, Arnie. Yeah, Marvin Hagler, yeah, he was one of the 3 best middleweights out there. I think Hagler, Carlos Monzon, and Harry Greb. Sugar Ray, I put them in front of Sugar Ray at middleweight. Now, welterweight, Sugar Ray is the man. Okay, but middleweight, I got to go with Hagler and King Carlos and Harry Greb. Yeah, you can switch around the order, but those are my top 3. Okay. And yeah, middleweight, Hagler would triumph over Roy. There are only 4 middleweights that would probably beat Jones, though. Ezzard Charles, Sugar Ray Robinson, Charlie Burley, and Hagler. 5. And King Carlos Monzon. Right? Though King Carlos was a little bit slower than the others. Right? Now, Roy Jones Jr. stands among the true elite. Roy Jones Jr., talent-wise, ranks up with the best boxers of all time. Blessed with unbelievable speed and power in both hands. In his prime, he made fighting look easy. Jones, like Ali, was a tremendous and multi-talented athlete in his prime. Jones had more pure, raw talent than any fighter ever, except probably Sugar Ray Robinson and Ali. His speed rivaled that of Ali himself. His athleticism allowed him to play a professional basketball game in the afternoon and defend his title at night. His power was explosive and pound for pound. Okay? While not Mike Tyson, he was pretty close though. Yeah, Roy had good pop too. Roy Jones Jr. was simply a freak of nature, an incredible combination of hand speed, foot speed, power, and athleticism, which combined let him make great fighters look average, okay? Look average. That's why, you know, people say about Boots, well, he's not fighting nobody the way he beat these fighters, but he make these fighters look like they're nobody. That was the same case with Roy Jones. He made top 5 level fighters look like journeymen. He was just that good, right? He was just that good. Watch Roy Jones fight with all-time great Hall of Famer James Toney, or his first fight with equally all-time great Hall of Famer Bernard Hopkins. And both were simply unable to land a glove on Jones. Roy Jones made those 2 Hall of Famers look average, okay? Made them look average. And we know James Toney and Bernard Hopkins are great all-time fighters. Roy made both of them look average. Roy Jones in 1995 in a fight against Vince Pazienza in the 4th round became the first fighter in CompuBox history to go an entire round without being hit, okay? First fighter in history since they've been keeping tab with CompuBox to go an entire round without being hit. Pazienza was credited with throwing 5 punches and landing 0. Only attempted 5 because Roy wasn't in range to be hit at all. So he only could attempt 5 punches and missed all of them. Arnie Boxley says, Prime Roy was a privilege to watch. True, okay? But, Marvin Hagler stands with the true elite as well, okay? Legendary trainer Ray Arcel, who trained middleweight champion Tony Zale, called Marvin Hagler one of the 3 greatest fighters in history who stayed in one weight class and dominated that class. Marvelous Marvin Hagler born Marvin Nathaniel Hagler on May 23, 1954. He fought from 1973 to 1987, was the undisputed middleweight champion from 1980 to 1987. Hagler made 12 successful defenses of that title and currently holds the highest knockout percentage of all undisputed middleweight champions at 78%, while also holding the second longest reign of an undisputed middleweight champion at 12 consecutive defenses. 12 consecutive. At 6 years and 7 months, his reign as undisputed middleweight champion is the second longest of the last century, behind only that of Tony Zale, whose reign included 4 years of inactivity during his service in World War II, which included ducking such contenders as Sugar Ray Robinson, Archie Moore, and Ezra Charles. So Hagler really got the longest reign because Tony Zale's is a longer, but Tony Zale was inactive for 4 years because he was in World War II. And they counted those 4 years. If you take those 4 years out, Hagler got the longest reign. Zale wasn't actively fighting. Now, Marvin Hagler was a great amateur fighter, better than Roy Jones before turning pro. Now, Hagler's amateur record was 52 wins, 2 losses, and 43 knockouts. That compares favorably with Roy Jones' amateur record, 121 wins, 13 losses, with a far lower knockout percentage. Yeah, that's a good knockout percentage for an amateur because amateur, you only got 3 rounds. Mainly in the amateur, you're basically trying to pile up the points, right, and get the decision because, you know, the knockout comes, it comes. But, yeah, you don't see a lot of knockout rates like that in the amateurs. 82.6% for Hagler for an amateur knockout ratio. That's outstanding. Now, these are Roy Jones' best assets in his prime. Unmatchable speed, power in both hands, ability to deliver fast, accurate, and powerful combinations, unbelievable punching accuracy. Reflexes so uncanny that he was unhittable in his prime. Unhittable. Reflexes so uncanny, they allowed him to hit you from angles no one other than Ali or Ezra Charles could have even attempted, you know, among bigger men. Superb defense, fueled by incredible slip and duck skills and movement. Incredible ring sense and IQ. Now, these are some of Roy Jones' weaknesses at middleweight. William Old School, what's up, Old School in the building? All right, I got to make this one good. Old School in here. From the Angry White Man podcast, Fridays at 10 p.m. Old School in D1. Fire podcast. Anybody listening in, please go subscribe to those gentlemen. And Al Booger. I didn't see Al Booger's name, but I'm going to take Old School's word for it. He said, salute Al Booger. And salute Al Booger. How are you today? Yeah, we're looking at Marvin Hagler versus Roy Jones. We got to get some link time now. Old School in here. Marvin Hagler versus Roy Jones. Now Hagler never fought anywhere but middleweight. Roy Jones fought at several weight classes. He went all the way to heavyweight. But these are Roy Jones' weaknesses at middleweight. It was not his best weight. And aside from Bernard Hopkins and Tate, he actually faced no top middleweights. His weak chin was not an issue against those he faced because, as Bernard Hopkins said so eloquently, you just can't hit the SOB. That's what B-Hop said about Roy Jones, you know. You just can't hit the SOB, right? But Roy's chin was never tested against a killer like Marvin Hagler, okay? Now, these are Marvin Hagler's best assets in his prime. Amazing power in both hands. Chin of cast iron cinder block steel. Cast iron cinder block steel. Combined, that's the kind of chin Hagler had. Good hand and foot speed. Truly great fundamental fighter. Could shift styles and tactics in fight as needed. Great defense. And he had excellent training too, the Petronelli brothers, right? Underrated trainers. And if Marvin's weaknesses during his prime, now we're going to talk about Marvin's weaknesses during his prime. He didn't have any, okay? He did not have any. Those are Marvin Hagler's weaknesses during his prime. He did not have any, okay? Marvin Hagler was a better all-around fighter, period, than Roy Jones Jr. Styles make fights, and Hagler's ability to shift styles from pure boxer to pressure fighter to slugger, depending on the need, coupled with his resume, makes him third or fourth among all-time rankings, behind only Sugar Ray Robinson, generally considered the best pound-for-pound fighter ever, and Carlos Monzon. I mean third, I don't put Sugar Ray in front of Hagler. Maybe Carlos Monzon and Harry Greb, then Hagler, or Hagler, Carlos, Harry Greb, or Harry Greb, King Carlos, Harry Hagler. Whatever order, them three. Sugar Ray is fourth at middleweight, but number one at welterweight now. Your Hagler is one of the top three middleweights of all time, along with the great Harry Greb and King Carlos Monzon. Anyone who knows anything about boxing cannot shortchange Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler was a more powerful fighter with a more powerful punch than Roy Jones. Hagler currently holds the highest knockout percentage of all undisputed middleweight champions, 78%, while also holding the second longest unified undisputed championship reign in boxing history, second only to Joe Louis. Hagler had 12 consecutive defenses over 7 years. Before they gave that fight to Sugar Ray Leonard. I ain't gonna say Sugar Ray Leonard beat up. I'm gonna say they gave that fight to Sugar Ray Leonard. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more in the building. Wow, the real heavyweights in here today. What's up, Bruce Gas? Boxing Jazz, and more. Salute. Hagler versus Roy Jones right now. Yeah. Now Hagler fought as a middleweight from day one, 78% knockout ratio against far tougher competition than Roy. Now, Roy Jones had 18 fights at middleweight with 17 knockouts, which is a 95% knockout rate. But he only faced two first-rate fighters at middleweight, Thomas Tate and Bernard Hopkins, who was still learning the game. And he couldn't stop B-Hop. B-Hop is the only one he didn't stop at middleweight. Hagler's power against far better competition at middleweight gives him the edge. Now, most people judge Marvin Hagler by his loss to Sugar Ray Leonard and don't really know what happened. Hall of Fame boxing writer Mike Katz, who covered the fight for the New York Daily News, gave it to Leonard 117-112. But he said this was not prime Marvin Hagler. I think if they had fought when both were in their primes, Marvin would have killed him. Yeah, they should have fought like 82. Remember, I told the story how Sugar Ray gave the press conference in Baltimore. I was down there, but I was outside. I couldn't get in. They wouldn't even let Cass Sports in, right? But he gave this big press conference at the convention center downtown Baltimore, and he invited Marvin Hagler to come to it. So Hagler thinking he's going to announce the fight, and Sugar Ray announced his retirement. That's when they should have fought. And Hagler never forgave Sugar Ray for that. Like, why did you invite me all the way down here from Massachusetts to tell me you retiring? I could have, Hagler could have watched the press conference on TV and saw that. Yeah. But yeah, that's what happened. That's why that was the beginning of it when he started disliking Sugar Ray. That was crazy. And Leonard trained carefully and had a superb fight plan. Right? And I told you, Leonard had 315 in his training camp. He had 3 15-round fights against 3 top 10 opponents with judges and everything. And to this day, nobody knows who they are because Sugar Ray made them sign lifetime. What do you call those things you sign and you can't say nothing? He had everybody sign those. And to this day, nobody knows who those 3 fighters were that he had in those training camps. So he wasn't coming in like 5 years not fighting. He had 3 fights during his training camp with judges and everything against top competition. Non-disclosure agreements. He had everybody sign those. So they can never say, oh, here, sue him, who was in there or anything, right? But the Sugar Ray passed away before any of them. They can tell us who they were. They will, or his family will sue him then. But anyway, let's continue. Yeah, Hagler had an all-time great chin, and Roy Jones obviously did not. Hagler was down only once in his career as an amateur, as a pro, or in sparring against Juan Rodon. And Hagler and Ron Rodon felt it should have been ruled a slip. Even the man that got credit for the knockdown said it was a slip, right? Hagler is listed on any list of all-time great chins because he got tested by some real powerhouses, including John the Beast Mugabe, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, Bad Benny Briscoe, Mustafa Hamsho, Ron Rodon, Tough Tony Simpson. Robert was in there with some real killers. Never went down. Never in his career. And of course, like I said, he faced far tougher competition than Roy Jones did. Far tougher. RP, what's up, RP? Straight out of New Jersey. Ray Patterson. What's happening, RP? How are you today? So let's get ready to get to the fight. Okay, the matchups. I mean, the tail of the tape and all that stuff. Okay? Yeah, Marvin Hagler versus Roy Jones. But first, let's look at, again, the top competition Hagler faced. Okay? Thomas the Hitman Hearns stood up as the best super welterweight in history. He won titles at middleweight, light heavyweight, and cruiserweight. Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the top welterweights of all time. Mustafa Hamsho, Benny Briscoe, Vito Antuofermo, Alan Minter, Juan Rodon, Tony Simpson, John the Beast Mugabe. Roy Jones faced only 2 top middleweights, all-time great, Bernard Hopkins and Thomas Tate. So let's look at the tail of the tape. Size. Roy Jones was 5'11" with a 74-inch reach. Hagler 5'9.5" with a 75-inch reach. Size advantage. We'll have to go to Hagler. Reach would be vital. Very slight size advantage. Hagler had an inch reach on him. Reach would be very vital in this matchup. Speed. Roy Jones, fastest middleweight ever. Roy Jones gets the speed advantage. Now, Hagler in his prime was extremely fast, and his foot speed matched his hand speed. But speed advantage goes to Roy Jones. He sure would, Bruce Gas. Tell him about it. Mustafa Hamsho would be a champion today. 100%, Bruce Gas. Ain't no doubt about it. Ain't no doubt about it. That Mustafa Hamsho was a tough man. Okay. Yeah, speed goes to Roy against anybody. The speed advantage might go to Roy against Muhammad Ali. Strength. Roy had elite strength at middleweight. Hagler was stronger, one of the strongest middleweights of all time. Strength advantage, Hagler. Power. Roy Jones had 18 fights at middleweight and 17 knockouts for a 94.4% knockout rate, but against lesser competition. I just told you who Hagler fought at middleweight. Hagler had better power and a better knockout rate, 78% against better competition. Well, Roy had the better knockout rate, but Hagler was against better competition. So the power advantage goes to Hagler at middleweight. Fundamentals and technique. Roy Jones, like Ali, had good fundamentals, but could do things no other fighter could because of incredible physical gifts. Hagler had equally or greater fundamentals and sound technique, and fought well from a southpaw stance, and could shift back and forth as needed. Fundamentals and technique, slightly to Hagler. Defense. Roy could not be hit at middleweight. His reflexes, speed, and movement were otherworldly, right? Hagler in his prime had the best chin of any middleweight in history, and great defense. He was only down once in his career, which he claimed was a slip. And the man he fought, that the referee ruled to put him down, Ron Rodon, also said it was a slip, okay? Defense advantage slightly to Hagler. Intangibles. Both have a fighter's heart, a great chin, a good ring IQ, and solid intangibles. Hagler's advantage lies in that he faced better competition, and thus was more tried in the only crucible that counts in boxing, the ring. So yeah, that resume advantage is huge, and that means a lot. Hagler faced way better competition. So intangibles advantage Hagler. So a Hagler versus Roy Jones fight. Okay, Hagler versus Roy Jones. Roy Jones beat an all-time great top 5 middleweight in Bernard Hopkins for the middleweight title. He had 18 fights at that weight with 17 knockouts, 95% knockout rate, and befuddled an elite boxer in Hopkins. Why wouldn't he have done the same to Hagler? Because at his best, Hagler was an elite boxer with a lot more athleticism and power than Bernard Hopkins. B-Hop got by on toughness, gall, fabulous boxing skills, and meanness. Hagler had all that, plus speed and strength. Roy simply cannot avoid Hagler for 12 rounds. Hagler cuts the ring off and stops him. Knockout or TKO in the late rounds. Okay, Hagler by knockout or TKO late in that one. Okay, let's look at another one, because I got some other stuff too. This is one that almost happened. Bruce Gas can tell you that. I think they were in talks when Sanchez had that fatal accident. They fought in the same era. Alexis Arguello and Salvador Sanchez, yeah. I think they were in talks for a fight. When Salvador was killed in the car accident, yeah. I think it was, yeah. But they would have definitely have fought. Salvador probably, he was at 126, he was only 23. I could see him definitely going as far as 135, maybe 140. 126 at 23 years old. He would have got, I know he would have got to 135, so wow, he probably might would have got to 140. He probably would have fought the Hawk, Julio Cesar Chavez, all them guys, man. He's one of the biggest what-ifs in boxing history. Salvador Sanchez is. Yes, he is. Just Do Boxing in the building. I gotta refresh my chat because I'm missing all these guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, salute Just Do. Coming up at 4 p.m. I'm going to take us right up to Just Do Boxing at 4 p.m. today. 4 p.m. today. Let's look at Salvador Sanchez and Alexis Arguello now. We got to get some link time too. Okay. I don't think Thomas Hill is in here. Thomas Hill said drop the link at the end yesterday. I dropped it. He must have left out. We was right at the end. But Thomas Hill said drop. The legendary Thomas Hill said drop the link. I'm dropping it. Okay. Maybe he tell us what he had today if he gets in here. Okay. Yeah, that would have been a great fight there. That's 50-50. That's the 50-50 fight of 50-50 fights. Alexis Arguello and Salvador Sanchez. Wow. Man. Could you imagine with the money fighters getting today, what these two would make in their prime today in a fight? Salvador Sanchez and Alexis Arguello? Man. The pay-per-view probably cost like $200. That would be a mega fight. Or Hagler versus Roy Jones too. Both in their prime today. How much they would make in a fight? Wow. Be off the charts. Okay, let's talk about who would win a fight. Junior lightweight, 130. Salvador never fought above 126. He was only 23. He would have definitely reached 130. I got him going away as far as 135, at least, maybe 140, but definitely would have got to 130. So this fight is at 130. Salvador is the greatest 126 super featherweight 126 ever, and Arguello is the greatest super featherweight 130 ever. Okay. Again, styles make fights, right? Old school says, I'm at work, working in the warehouse today. Mother Nature ain't cutting me any slack. Okay, old school. At least you're able to stop by today. You know, I haven't seen you in here in a while. Yeah. Remember the old school? That's from the Angry White Men podcast. Fridays at 10. Old school in D1. Okay, John. Styles make fights, right? Now, Sanchez might have really struggled against the explosive thin man. This would come down to a truly great smaller man against a truly great bigger man. And they make weight classes for a reason. The great Salvador Sanchez never had a prime. So we don't really know how good he might have become. But he was good enough by age 23 when he died to be in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And I believe he's not the only one. Pancho Villa also died at 23. He had a tooth infection. I believe he's in there too. So yeah, Salvador is not the only one in there at 23. Yeah, Pancho Villa. He didn't do what the doctor told him and, paid for it with his life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Arguello was also good at age 23. So he would fight on for another decade in his first career. If you believe the fighters who opposed Salvador Sanchez and boxing experts who saw him, Sanchez was already a great fighter at age 23, who would have been even greater had he lived. And in the Hall of Fame at age 23, they'll tell you right there how good he was. He was a meteor that lit up the boxing sky only to pass by all too quickly. And like almost all great fighters, Salvador came from poverty. He was one of 11 children born into a poor family in the small Mexican city of Santiago on January 26, 1959. His family was dirt poor, literally struggling to get food to eat. Salvador had only a few amateur fights before turning pro at age 16. And he learned the game in the ring fighting. Okay, didn't have an amateur career. He learned the game in the ring fighting. He was the complete package, a fighter who possessed speed, power, defensive skills, a great ring IQ, and excellent counterpunching skills. He could do it all. Stand outside and box, go inside and go to war, counterpunch, pound with right leads. There was nothing Salvador Sanchez could not do. And he taught it to himself. Again, entering the pro ranks at just age 16 and suffering his only defeat at age 18 as he learned the tricks of the trade. He had considerably more talent than three-division champion Canelo Alvarez, who also learned starting at 16. Salvador Sanchez has just entered the star phase of his career when he was killed in a car accident at the age of 23 in 1982. WBC featherweight champion when he died. He had cleaned out the division, defeating the tough punching matchup Danny Little Red Lopez twice, Ruben Castillo, Juan Laporte, the great Wilfredo Gomez, and pounded all-time great Azuma Nelson. That's Hall of Fame worthy right there. Just them names. Danny Little Red Lopez twice, Ruben Castillo, Juan Laporte, Wilfred Gomez, Azuma Nelson. Tell him, Bruce Gass. That's Hall of Fame right there. Them names, man. Wow. He beat all of them. He dismantled Wilfredo Gomez, right? I saw that fight. The only two fighters in the lighter weight classes who were in his class were Aaron Pryor and Alexis Arguello. And again, Salvador was only 23, okay? The fighters who opposed him spoke with him with awe. Danny Little Red Lopez, who also sits in the Hall of Fame, he fought Sanchez twice, both times taking a terrible beating, and Lopez set up Sanchez. Maybe someone can beat Salvador, but I can't. And nobody I was ever in the ring with can beat him either. What might have been if Sanchez had not been killed in that car crash? The potential of Salvador Sanchez might be boxing's most maddening and tragic enema. Yeah, he is the biggest what-if story in boxing. 3 weeks after the car crash that took his life, Sanchez was due to meet number one contender Juan Laporte in a rematch for the title. It is hard to see the solid Laporte beating his now close friend, the great Sanchez. After that, Salvador was planning on moving up to super featherweight and challenging Bazooka Limon. Yeah, he was going up to 130, and Alexis Arguello was eventually on the menu. But they're getting ready to fight in a few minutes. He had 44 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw at the time of his death. His only loss had come when weight drained from making bantamweight. He lost by split decision to Antonio Becerra when he was just 18 years old and still learning the fight game, and still only lost by split decision. And he never lost again. And generations of fight fans have grown up wondering, what if he had lived and moved up to face such luminaries as Julio Cesar Chavez, who was 3 years younger, who would have been rising when Sanchez was active in his division. Had he lived, yeah, that fight would have happened. Both of those Mexican warriors would have been dying to get in the ring with each other. That would have definitely happened. Salvador Sanchez and Julio Cesar Chavez, that would have happened. Sanchez easily ranks among the top 10 featherweights of all time, and is arguably number 1. But against him, Alexis Arguello. Alexis Arguello, the explosive thin man, is certainly regarded as one of the top 3 super featherweights of all time by anybody who knows boxing from the 80s, late 70s, 80s. Alexis Arguello is definitely top 3. I got him number 1. Alexis Arguello is by any measure one of the all-time boxing greats and is also in the Hall of Fame. Now, who was Alexis Arguello? Known as the explosive thin man. One of the great nicknames, too. Now, Alexis Arguello known as the Explosive Thin Man, was born on April 19, 1952 in Managua, Nicaragua, and died on July 1st, 2009. Again, like so many boxers, Arguello, whose father was a shoemaker, came from abject poverty. His father was unable to provide for his 7 children, and his father attempted to commit suicide when Alexis was 5 years old. At the age of 9, Alexis ran away to work on a dairy farm to get away from horrific conditions at home. At age 13, Alexis emigrated to Canada to try to find a better life for his family. Arguello was in constant trouble through his teen years, but when his sister, Marina, married a boxer, Alexis took an interest in the sport himself, and after a brief amateur career of 58 wins, 2 losses, he turned pro in 1968, just like Salvador at age 16. Now, his professional career has some accomplishments. His career lasted from 1968 to 1995, 4 decades, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And he became a 3-weight world champion, having held the WBA featherweight title from 1974 to 1976, the WBC super featherweight title from 1978 to 1980, and the WBC lightweight title from 1981 to 1982. Arguello never lost any of his 3 titles in the ring. He always vacated them to move up to another division and reach more money and more acclaim. Never lost a title in the ring. His best weight is considered to be super featherweight 130, at which he is ranked number 1 of all time by BoxRec and CAS Sports. Those 2 great boxing organizations, BoxRec and CAS Sports, 2 of the top. BoxRec and CAS Sports got Arguello at number 1 in super featherweight. Now, Arguello is best remembered as a boxer for his 2 wars with junior welterweight champion Aaron Pryor. Right? That's what kept him from being, he tried twice. That he would have been the first 4 division champion if he could have beat Pryor in either one of those fights. The American audiences were introduced to the Nicaraguans with his skills in the ring and also his tremendous heart and compassion after his win over Ray Mancini when he battled Ray into submission in the 14th round. After the fight, he embraced the beaten up Mancini and wished him all the best for the future, and all in perfect English. Ironically, he found his greatest acclaim, greatest purses, and a lifelong friend in his 2 losses to Aaron Pryor. Now let's compare Sanchez and Arguello's competition. Okay? Comparing their competition. Now Sanchez is at a crucial disadvantage here because of the brevity of his life. Sanchez faced Wilfredo Gomez, okay, Azuma Nelson, Roberto Castanon, Danny Little Red Lopez, Ruben Castillo, and Salvador completely dominated 2 top 10 fighters in the prime of their careers, Wilfredo Gomez and Danny Little Red Lopez. Stopped both of them. Stopped Lopez twice. Dominated him. But his resume pales next to Alexis Arguello because, Sanchez's life was cut short at 23. So his resume pales next to Alexis Arguello. Arguello faced and beat 11 of 12 all-time top fighters at super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight, and super lightweight. And he was a champion in 3 of those divisions. Okay, this is who he faced. Aaron Pryor, Cornelius Boza Edwards, Alfredo Escalera, Bobby Chacon, Rolando Navarrete, Royal Kobayashi, Ruben Castillo, Rafael Bazooka Limon, Jose Luis Ramirez, Billy Costello, Ray Mancini, Jim Watt. Like I said, Arguello beat 11 or 12 top fighters that he faced in their prime. Okay, let's look at their styles. styles of these two legends. Arguello was an explosive puncher. He was perhaps the most economic and efficient puncher since the great Joe Louis. Arguello fought in a boxer puncher style, similar to that of Joe Louis, using truly great boxing fundamentals with his chin tucked in and his hands held high. Arguello employed a picture-perfect jab and used a deadly left hook and right cross. Arguello studied his opponents and found any flaws in an opponent's style and then destroyed them. He was a master of body punching, accurate counters, and precise combinations. Like Joe Louis, Arguello would patiently stalk his opponents, pick them apart, and finish them off with powerful punches. Arguello scored 65 knockouts in 82 career wins. Okay, we gotta know. 65 knockouts in 82 wins is 79.2%, hovering right around 80, 79.2 for the explosive thin man. Okay. Okay, Salvador Sanchez now. Salvador Sanchez was a true boxing master, a ring savant. Now, though Sanchez had an iron chin and ferocity, he was not an aggressive pressure fighter, as most great Mexican fighters were. Sanchez was a true boxing master, a master technician, and fabulous defensive fighter who relied on footwork, counterpunching, and pinpoint accuracy to outbox his opponents. Okay, and now, the tale of the tape. Size. Salvador Sanchez was 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. Alexis Arguello was 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. So Arguello got 4 inches in height, 4 inches in reach. Size advantage goes to the explosive thin man, Alexis Arguello. Speed. Both men are simply athletic marvels. Well, were simply athletic marvels. Speed advantage, even. Strength. Both men were quite powerful for their size, but Arguello was a naturally bigger man. So the strength advantage goes to Arguello. Punching power. Arguello hit like a mule kicked. Although he had a 79% knockout rate, it was against bigger men. Eddie Futz said Arguello had the most explosive power of any fighter he ever trained. And he also trained Smoking Joe Frazier, okay? So that's saying a lot. Talking about explosive power, right? Not just power, explosive power. And he said Arguello had the most explosive power of any fighter he trained. And he trained Smoking Joe Frazier, okay? Salvador Sanchez was the ultimate boxer puncher. He started boxing at age 16 as a pro and learned on the job, yet he still had a 80-something% knockout rate. But this power advantage goes to, punching power goes to Arguello. Defense. Sanchez was a marvelous and much underrated defender. Arguello had a much underrated defense also. So the defense advantage slightly to Sanchez. Got to get Sanchez something. Defense slightly to Sanchez, okay? Fundamentals. Arguello was fundamentally sound and technically gifted. Sanchez was fundamentally sound and technically gifted, a genius in the ring. Slight advantage for fundamentals to Salvador Sanchez. Intangibles. Both men regard themselves as unbeatable and unique. Intangibles advantage even. So what happens in the fight? A Sanchez-Arguello fight would be a defensive and athletic marvel. It would depend, as most fights do, on which fighter imposed his will on the other. The key to this is the stipulated weight it would take place at. At super featherweight 130, Sanchez would have been every bit as good as he was at featherweight, right? But in the end, they had weight classes in boxing for a reason. Salvador Sanchez was a natural featherweight. Arguello was a natural super featherweight. Both men were among the top of all time in their respective weight classes. In this fight, Sanchez would be well aware of Arguello's incredible power at super featherweight, 130, a weight that would have been perfect for Arguello, right? And a class up from Sanchez's best, featherweight, 126. So, Arguello by unanimous decision in a magnificent chess match between two great chess masters in the ring. Yeah, Arguello by unanimous decision. Okay, let's get this in, and then we're gonna go to the lake. Who was the most naturally gifted heavyweight boxer you believe never reached their full potential? And believe it or not, I think it's this guy right here. As bad as he was and everything he did in the ring, I think he was the most naturally gifted heavyweight who never reached their full potential. The Big Bear, Sonny Liston. Mm-hmm. The Big Bear, Charles Sonny Liston. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I get ready to say. I know I put that in there. There it is. Way down there. Thought these phones were smart. That was dumb. Okay, let's go though. Okay, yeah. Charles Sonny Liston. Now the question is, who was the most naturally gifted heavyweight boxer you believe never reached their full potential? Glad y'all asked. Let's talk about it. Now, for a heavyweight with the most potential that never reached, Charles Sonny Liston. Behind him would be Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe didn't want it. He had all the potential in the world, had the great Eddie Futch. He just didn't want it, right? Although both Sonny Liston and Riddick Bowe claimed the undisputed championship, and both were voted into the Hall of Fame, both also had vast potential, which was never fully realized. Now, Sonny Liston, the forgotten great. The following factors kept the great Sonny Liston from being far greater. Number one, age when he started his career. We're going to go into these a little bit deeper in a minute. Number two, Sonny never had a great trainer. In his first 10 pro fights, he had no support at all. Number three, he missed 2 years during his athletic peak period. Number four, injuries destroyed his chances in most important fights of his career. Number five, being blacklisted and not allowed to fight in the United States for 3 years after the Ali fights. So let's look at these issues. Let's take a closer look. Age. Okay. Sonny did not know when he was born, literally. But some boxing historians and writers, such as Paul Galender, later managed to find at least eyewitness accounts that he probably was born far earlier than he had thought or listed on his commission licenses. With one historian figuring from Family Tales that Sonny might have been born as early as 1919 or even earlier. So say 1919, right? He fought Ali in 1964, was it? So if he was born in 1919, right? That makes him, for the first Ali fight, 45 years old, okay? Now, of course, they listed him as much younger than that, but a historian from talking to family members and records say he was born in 1919. So the first Ali fight, that makes him 45 years old, okay? Let's think about that, right? That's crazy. Or even earlier, he might have been closer to 50. Now, the census, which had issues, put Sonny's birth date between 1930 and 1932. Sonny's mother gave at least 4 different birthdays to 4 different people, with 2 being in 1930. That would make him 34 when he fought Ali. But she gave 4 different birthdays. Okay. If that is so, Sonny did not begin boxing until he was 21 and in prison. But if the 1919 is correct, he was in his 30s when he started boxing, okay? He was at least 34 and 35 when he faced Ali, a man a dozen years younger. At least 34 or 35, maybe 40, maybe 10 years older. 34 or 35 going by the 1930 date. But the 1919 date, he was in his 40s when he fought Ali, okay? Because of the pre-fight injury issues with Ali Liston, the first fight, several very highly regarded sports doctors, including an orthopedist, experts in boxing injuries and aging, were brought in to do the pre-fight physicals for Ali Liston too. One of the examining doctors, after being told Sonny's claimed age was 35, vehemently disagreed, estimating that Sonny's age was at least 45, no matter what he says. Okay, one doctor said that from examining him, and he didn't even see the 1919 date. This doctor said 45 from examining him. So I'm leaning toward 1919. So when he fought Ali in 1964, he was 45 years old, man. Right? And none of the other experts that were present disagreed with that. No support at the onset of his career and never having top training. Sonny got into boxing in prison. So for 1919, he was 30-something then. Sonny got into boxing in prison. And a left-hander, right? He was taught to box by a priest who had never formally trained anyone. Since Father Stevens had no idea how to train a southpaw, he taught Sonny to fight out of an orthodox stance, and he did pretty good at it. Just think if he would have been taught he was naturally left-handed as a southpaw, right? The priest didn't know anything about training a southpaw, so he trained Sonny as an orthodox fighter, okay? Sonny was always grateful to Father Stevens, who he remained close to for the remainder of his life. And he, for Father Stevens' shortcomings as a trainer, Sonny simply said, he taught me what he knew. He couldn't do no more than that. He said he taught me what he knew. He didn't feel bitter or anything against the guy. He said he taught me what he knew, right? But Father Stevens was Jack Blackburn, next to what Sonny had early in his professional career. He didn't have any kind of formal training. At the beginning of his pro career, Sonny's management thought Sonny was just a muscle-bound thug who could make them a bit of money as cannon fodder for rising fighters. Thus, he not only did not have a decent trainer, he had no cut man at all. And he had to ride the bus to his fights. They wouldn't even drive the man in the cars to his fight. He had to catch the bus. I guess meet him down there. Bam. That's crazy. All right, Sonny, we see you at the gym. He had to catch the bus down to the fight. Further, they threw Sonny in with far more experience and higher quality opponents than any other heavyweight has faced in the modern age. In his 6th fight against Johnny Summerlin, a good heavyweight who would be top 10 ranked the following year, despite 2 losses to Liston. Liston arrived in Detroit after a very long bus ride for St. Louis with no cornermen, no cut man, no supplies, and not even a jug to spit in or a stool to sit on between rounds. Yet Sonny, without anything but the trunks he was in, without rest or a decent meal in 2 days, in his 6th fight, defeated a 7-year veteran who would the following year be ranked number 6 heavyweight in the world. Okay? Didn't he have a stool to sit on? Right? That's right, old school. He had everything but speed. And had all this going against him. And it went like this until his rematch with Marty Marshall, who would also be ranked following his 2 defeats to Sonny. Only then did his management, realizing they had a real talent, bring in a decent trainer, which was Willie Reddish. Okay, only then they realized they had something then. Okay, 2 years missed during his athletic peak. The 1950s were not a good time to be black in America. Now, Sonny Liston hated the racism that tainted everything back then and got along much better in Europe than he did in the United States. Here is poet Amiri Baraka, then Leroy Jones set up Liston. Sonny was the big black Negro in every white man's hallway, waiting to do him in, deal him under for all the hurts white men, through their arbitrary order, have been able to inflict on the world. The 1950s in Jim Crow America, the police routinely treated black men badly. Sonny Liston was a proud man, and he chafed at the way the police treated him and was not afraid to show it. Yeah, he left St. Louis because this one policeman came to him and told him, Sonny, you better leave St. Louis because I heard talk down at the station, they plan on killing you. So Sonny moved to Philly. Yeah, this was a nice policeman came to him and told him, you better get out of here because they planned. And he was a policeman. He knew. He said he heard the talk. The police were talking about killing Sonny. So he got out. That's the reason he left St. Louis, right? Yeah. He once got into an argument with a police officer who was harassing him for allegedly driving too slow. He had pulled Sonny over every day for 34 days straight, over a month. He had pulled him over for 34 days straight, this one policeman. And after the policeman pulled his gun, Sonny took his gun away from him, beat him up, broke his knee, right? On another occasion, when he was again being harassed, and enraged Sonny took the officer, picked him up over his head, and threw him into a dumpster. Okay, threw him into a dumpster. 227. Yes, Sonny definitely didn't reach his full potential. As good as he was, undisputed champion and all that. Mm-hmm. When he beat Floyd Patterson. Yeah. Injuries ruined his chances in the two biggest fights of his career, the Ali fights. Injuries are the primary reason for Sonny's disastrous loss in his title defense against Ali, and also, along with the worst officiating in history, doomed him in the second Ali fight. Sonny Liston went into the first Ali fight with a chronic left knee problem, impairing his movement, and a bad shoulder injury, which blew apart during the fight, leaving Sonny unable to continue. How bad were Sonny's injuries? Severe. The left knee injury alone robbed Sonny of his lateral movement and his ability to fire and fight off his back foot. The shoulder soreness took the power and snap out of his jab and his hook as well. In his first title defense, the fight before the first Ali fight, Sonny had to postpone it, not once, but twice, due to a severe injury to his left knee. Sonny had seriously injured his left knee, probably an ACL tear. That injury remained troubling him greatly going into the first fight with Ali. But it was Sonny's left bicep and shoulder which doomed him completely. It is certain that Sonny had suffered a torn bicep muscle in his left shoulder and a full thickness rotator cuff tear. Joe Louis said after the first Ali fight, Sonny couldn't move because of his knee and he couldn't jab because of the shoulder. If he'd been healthy, it would have been a completely different fight. Okay? So let's go to the link now. Yeah, Sonny definitely didn't reach his full potential for as much as he, as good as he was. Mm-hmm. And much as he accomplished in the ring. And he was a southpaw. But the priest didn't know how to train southpaw, so he trained him as a Orthodox. I mean, yeah. Orthodox? Yeah. I can't find the chat. Yeah. Come on, man. What is going on here? There we go. Yeah, old school. Sonny had everything but speed. Mm-hmm. And he compensated for that well with all the other things he had working for him, you know. One of the best jabs in the business. Sonny could knock people out with his jab. Remember the story I told y'all? He was in sparring and with a jab, split through the guy's headgear and knocked out like 4 teeth or something, and like broke 8 teeth in the guy's mouth. The guy had headgear on with a jab. He just split through it. You know? The big bear, Sonny Liston. And the myth about people say, well, Ali had something in his eyes and Sonny put something on his glove. That's not true. Because his shoulder was injured. And they were putting something on his shoulder in the corner. And then clinches, Ali leaves his forehead on his shoulder. And then Angelo Dundee inadvertently wiped his sweat off his face, wiped the stuff into Ali's eyes. Angelo Dundee did that. Not on purpose, but that's how stuff got in his eyes. Not for nothing illegal Sonny did. Angelo Dundee wiped it because Ali got it off of Sonny's shoulder and clinches on his forehead. Angelo Dundee wiped it down into his eyes. That's nothing illegal went on. No, I heard that from a very reliable source. That's what happened. And it was never proven that Sonny was this big mob figure. Never proven that. Every fighter had affiliations with the mob around at that time. If you wanted a title fight, you had to. You know? You had to. Look at Jake LaMotta. He resisted them for like a decade, but then he was afraid his career was going to end without a title shot, so he played ball with him. And never no kind of evidence that Sonny ever threw a fight or anything. Okay? No evidence whatsoever of that. None. Okay. Yeah, Riddick Bowe also underwhelmed in his career, but you know, Riddick didn't want to train and that type of thing. You know, Eddie Futch walked away from Riddick, and he begged Eddie Futch to be his trainer in the first place. And Eddie Futch said Riddick wouldn't train; he didn't want it. So Eddie said, "I'm not wasting my time." A drunk Irishman in the building. What's up, the drunk Irishman? He was talking about two heavyweights. What were we talking about? I forgot. Never reached their full potential. What two heavyweights never reached their full potential? Riddick Bowe, Sonny Liston. And Sonny was the world undisputed heavyweight champion. He could have been much better, too. And Riddick Bowe. Let's get to Riddick. Got a little thing on Riddick, too. How he never reached his full potential. He didn't want to. He also was heavyweight champion. Yeah, that was pretty long on Sonny. That could have been an entire show. Now, Riddick Bowe's potential was partied away. Okay? Was partied away. Riddick's was. That first fight against Holyfield, I thought that was the best fight, best I ever saw Riddick. Was that one? Yeah. And the second fight, Fan Man messed everything up. You know? Yeah, Fan Man came in there and Riddick would have won that one. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Riddick. Old School says Bowe's problems was after being poor his entire life. The money he got, he ate himself into retirement. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Riddick Bowe. Now, Riddick Bowe's failure to achieve his full potential was unlike Sonny's. Quite simple. Bowe ignored his trainer and partied like it was 1999. Unlike Sonny Liston, who had a myriad of factors lead to his never realizing his full potential, Riddick Bowe had only one. Bowe said, life became a big party, overeating, drinking, and drug use led me to not train and waste my talent. That was Riddick Bowe himself saying that, right? Old school. That was part of it too, yeah. And he said, he admitted that himself. Lack of discipline, lack of focus, unwillingness to sacrifice, unwillingness to train, love of food, liquor, wild women, drugs, and parties are why Riddick Bowe went from the champ to the dump. Okay, he was the champion. He was undisputed. It was 3 WBA, WBC, IBF at that time. Because, yeah, Holyfield took it. Buster Douglas took it from Tyson, Holyfield took it from Douglas, and Bowe took it from Holyfield, remember? Mm-hmm. That's when they threw the WBC in the trash. They want to fight Lennox. But anyway, Bowe had all-time great talent and 10-cent concentration. Physically, he had it all. Size, strength, speed, power, great technique, an inside and outside game, and a solid chin. Had he met Lennox Lewis with Eddie Futch in his corner, and had he won, which Eddie Futch believed he could, he would be ranked in the top 10 all time. And not only Eddie Futch believed he could beat Lennox, Lennox's trainer Emanuel Stewart did. He said he watched Riddick Bowe's fight. It wasn't Holyfield, but Emanuel Stewart was like, and they were talking about a Bowe Lewis fight, and Emanuel Stewart, after he watched Bowe fight that night, he was like, the next day he said, I don't know how I'm gonna train Lennox Lewis to beat this guy. That was Lennox's trainer. Emanuel Stewart said the 1991 to 93 Riddick Bowe was a perfect heavyweight. Here's what I was talking about right here. Emanuel Stewart said, I remember very distinctly the night that Riddick Bowe knocked out Jesse Ferguson, because I was there. Because his next fight was going to be against a guy who had just made a deal to start training, named Evander Holyfield. Okay, it was Holyfield, who he had already beat. He looked so good that night that in the post-fight press conference, I mentioned to Eddie Futch and Rock Newman, Bowe's manager. I said he looked like he became a complete perfect fighter, and I don't even know how the hell I was going to even train Evander Holyfield to beat him. Okay? That's what Emanuel Stewart said. And Eddie Futch said, at one point, I thought Riddick Bowe could be the best heavyweight I ever trained. And that's a big statement because he had Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, Trevor Berbick, and who knows who he had way back in the 40s and 50s and stuff. And he said Riddick Bowe had the potential to be the best heavyweight he ever trained. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's Eddie Futch. Had all the tools and talent, Old School. Old School said Riddick Bowe drove him crazy with his lack of dedication. He drove Eddie Futch crazy too, Old School, his trainer. Eddie Futch just said, I give up. I guess he was like Ray Arcel and remember Tony Galento from the other day? Ray Arcel said, get him out of my sight. Jack Dempsey got the ring and beat him up. He got so mad at the man. Tony Galento didn't want to train. Man used to drink beer on his ring walk. Mm-hmm. Drank beer on his ring walk. One time before a fight, he ate 52 hot dogs. He bet somebody he could eat 52 hot dogs and still go out there and win. And he did it. He won the bet. Went out there and won. Yeah, that's a big statement from Eddie Futch saying he thought he could be the best heavyweight he trained. Yeah, he had Larry Holmes, Joe Frazier, Trevor Berbick, and Ken Norton, and others. And saying that Bowe had the potential to be better than Holmes, rated in the top 5 ever heavyweights, shows what kind of talent that Riddick Bowe threw away. Could have been an ATG, all-time great. And Eddie Futch left Riddick Bowe after the first Galata fight. Eddie had been 78 when approached to train Bowe. They say Bowe begged him to train him. He was 78 years old at the time, and when Bo approached him, at first he refused, feeling he was too old to deal with another temperamental kid. But Bo had called him and begged the old trainer to work with him, promising to do anything Futch asked of him. And Eddie said at first he did. Okay, at first he did. But then, as Eddie Futch would be called sadly, I guess the other voices began to reach his ears. Eddie said, it was downhill, slowly at first, but then momentum picked up. I don't need the aggravation. I don't need the issues. I just decided the obstacles were insurmountable. And Eddie was almost 80 years old. He definitely didn't need that, 78 years old. For 7 years, Eddie Futch molded Riddick Bowe from a raw amateur into a seasoned professional with great offensive and defensive skills, which tapped into his enormous physical potential. And he had size, everything. He was like 6'5", right? Had almost like an 80-inch reach. Had it all. And Eddie Futch was central to Bowe's success, says Hall of Fame trainer Emanuel Stewart, who said Bowe at his peak with Futch was a perfect heavyweight. Emanuel Stewart said he was perfect. And Bowe today admits when Eddie Futch left, his career left with Eddie Futch, right? Bowe said when Eddie left, his career left. BBO Sports TV in the building from the Sports Talk Network. Yeah, BBO, we was talking about your boy Riddick Bowe, man, how he threw his career away. He had the great Eddie Futch. And BBO, you know, Eddie Futch said, I know BBO done heard this. Eddie Futch said Riddick Bowe could have been the best heavyweight he trained, had the potential. And you know, Eddie Futch trained Larry Holmes and Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Trevor Berbick. And he said Riddick Bowe had the potential to be better than all of them, but he didn't want it. And Eddie said, I don't need the aggravation. Eddie was 78 years old. So he said no. And when Bowe first called, both people first called Eddie Futch, Eddie refused. But then Riddick called himself and begged Eddie to train him. So Eddie said, okay. And Riddick said, I'm going to do everything you tell me. And Eddie said at first, Riddick told Eddie, I'll do everything you tell me, begging to get Eddie. And Eddie said at first he did, but then slowly it started going downhill. And then the end, Bowe, just like old school said, ate his way out of a career. And Riddick said when Eddie left, his career left. Yeah. But BBO, Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. from the Sports Talk Network. Okay, that BBO. Anyway, the difference between Riddick Bowe and Sonny Liston was Riddick Bowe threw it away. And Sonny Liston, through no fault of his own, had much taken away from him. Liston, despite all he accomplished, the Hall of Fame, the Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, being the only man to depose a sitting Undisputed Heavyweight Champion in 2 minutes, twice, okay? He beat Floyd Patterson in 2 minutes twice, right? And yeah, only man to do that. What's up, old school?
What's happening?
Oh, not too much. We're talking about your man, Sonny Liston.
Yeah, man. Fucking Riddick Bowe gave me the blue.
You say he drove you crazy?
Bro, when I first started watching Riddick was this big, huge guy, like Foreman big.
Power.
But he had the fucking hand speed, the mobility of a small guy.
Yeah, he did.
He moved like a small guy.
Way more skilled than Foreman. Yep.
Yeah. And man, punch, fuck. Nobody had ever even put fucking Holyfield down before fucking Bowe put him on the canvas.
Nobody.
Nope. In fact, a lot of people didn't even know if anybody could put fucking Evander down.
Yeah, Holyfield was tough, man. Yeah, but Riddick did it, man.
But those 3 fights took it out of, neither guy was ever the same afterwards.
Yeah, that was some tough ones there, yeah.
And I always said the only reason Lewis finally decided to fight Evander was because even Lewis knew those guys beat each other out of a career.
Yeah, after that. Yeah, Lennox was ready then. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to fight him. He didn't want to fight Bo. He didn't want to fight Evander. He didn't want to fight Tyson when they were in their prime.
No, yeah, Tyson was way past his prime when he finally got in there with Lennox. Yeah.
Yeah. Lennox wanted no part of them guys when they were in their prime.
Yeah.
He waited till he seen decline in them before he decided he was going to fight him.
And remember when he fought Vitaly Klitschko? Remember Vitaly Klitschko got stopped on cuts. Lennox retired. He didn't give him a rematch. Remember?
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't give him a rematch.
I'll tell you another thing. When Bo fought Lennox in the amateurs, they screwed the fuck out of Bo.
Yeah, I know. They stopped it, didn't they?
Yeah. He didn't even hurt. He didn't even. He did not hurt Bo, and they said that they literally called it a TKO, and the man was fighting.
I know. That was crazy.
If you go back and watch it, look at Bo's face when they called the fight off. He's like, "What the f are you all doing?"
Yeah, I know. I've seen that a lot of times. Yeah, that was 88. That was crazy.
They literally screwed that man.
Yep, that was for the gold medal.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
And I had Riddick winning the fight.
I don't know why he didn't fight Lennox in the pros. I think he could have beat him. You know?
Man, they say it's about the money. They were offering him peanuts to fight. And he was like, "I'm the heavyweight champion. How the fuck are you going to pay me these little peanuts and let him make all the money?"
Yep, he was undisputed. Yeah, he should have got the bigger purse. You know?
Right.
So he threw the belt in the trash. They were scheduled to fight again too, but then Lennox lost. I think he lost to Oliver McCall, like a tune-up fight in like 1994, and Lennox got beat, so they didn't have that one that time. But Bo was going downhill then anyway.
After he threw the damn thing in the garbage, dude, I walked away from boxing for a good while. The only thing of boxing I watched was a couple of the big fights, and I was completely disgusted with boxing by that point when he threw that belt in the garbage.
Yeah, I remember that at the press conference. Yeah.
Oh, I was fucking mad at him.
Yeah, that was terrible. Hey, old school, who you got this weekend in the Virgil and Lubin fight?
I got Virgil. Lubin hasn't looked good in a while, dude.
Yeah, I got Virgil by decision. You got decision or stoppage?
I got stoppage.
Stoppage? Okay. Stoppage late, early?
Probably late.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Lubin, if you go, remember he fought that one, I think it was on Pro Box, that one fight?
Yeah.
Go back and really watch that fight. He looked terrible.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. Yeah.
You go back and watch that fight. He won the fight, but he looked bad in that fight.
Yeah, he getting up there too. How old is Lubin?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know he's not young.
Nah. And he been on a lot of awards too. Remember, like the one with Fundora? Yeah.
I mean, ever since let's face it, he did get some wins afterwards, but from that knockout from Jamel,
yeah,
he's never really been right since that fight.
And then he had that one with Fundora where he rearranged his face, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was bad. So, yeah.
Fundora had him looking like an elephant, man.
I remember, man. I don't know why somebody looking like that. It's time to stop it, man. You change somebody's face. He probably looked in the mirror and didn't even recognize it.
No, about stoppage. Fuck, the one that should have been stopped was that fucking Tim Tszyu fight with Fundora.
Both of them was bleeding like crazy. They let that go.
I'll say it till the day I die. That fight ruined Tim Tszyu's career.
He's never been the same since then.
Nope. You can't keep taking a beating and a beating and a beating, and then you're literally swallowing your own freaking blood, and nobody stops to fight for you.
His whole face was red, man. Covered. And Fundora was cut bad too, wasn't he?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I think he got Tszyu with the elbow or something. You know?
Oh, yeah. That elbow sliced the hell out of him, too. And I mean, he was pouring blood, Cass. He was literally swallowing his own blood in a fight.
And he never stopped it because as soon as he came out for the next round, he was still bleeding. Pouring.
That fight should have been stopped.
Yeah.
By his corner, if by nobody else.
I know. And the ring doctor should have been fired to let that go on.
His whole corner should have been fired.
Mm-hmm. To keep sending that man out there like that. But you're right, he's never been the same since then.
Yep.
No. Never been
But yeah, fucking when Bo and Holyfield fought, if you watch all three of them fights, those fights were brutal.
The first one was Bo's best performance to me. The first fight, that's the best I ever
I agree.
seen. Yeah. That Bo would have beat anybody, man. Of that era. Tyson, Lewis, all of them. But then I never seen him like that again after that. Never seen
like
that.
I said, dude, them fights took a lot out of both guys.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Wim said he's 30. Lubin is 30. Okay, I thought he was older than that. Wow, that ain't that old.
Yeah, ain't that old.
But he been in some wars though. Some wars though, you know.
Like I said though, that Jamel fight, when he got floored, I think it was the first round, or the second.
Yeah.
I mean, he ain't been the same guy since that fight.
So he an old 30, you know.
Yeah.
He's an old 30. Yeah, man.
People don't realize, bro, when you take a beating in the ring, especially one, when you go, like Lubin got off lucky that night. He got knocked out quick, you know?
Yeah.
There's guys that have been in the ring. You go back and look at Taylor and Regis.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one.
They beat the bejesus out of each other. Neither guy has ever been
all the way. Went up for 12 rounds, you know? Yeah.
That's what worries me for Devin coming back, bro. Devin took one hell of a beating against Ryan.
You got Norman?
Oh yeah. I don't even think it's gonna be close.
Man, I got Devin by decision.
I don't see it, Cass.
Think Norman gonna stop him?
I don't see it.
You think he's gonna stop him? Norman?
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it going past the 6th round.
Yeah, you know, I think Tank and Jake Paul not fighting anymore, right?
Yeah, that's got me disgusted.
Somebody said
I look at it this way. I don't even want to talk about Tank until I find out if a video comes out and we find out that he did beat that woman. If he did, I no longer support him.
They said Rolly stepped in.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, trying to get Rolly and Jake Paul. I wouldn't go watch it no way though. Yeah.
No, I got daughters and I got granddaughters.
Yeah,
and if any man ever put their goddamn hands on my kids, God help them.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 2 daughters, granddaughters too, man.
So if Tank really did that to that girl, I'm done with it. Completely done with it.
Yeah, I can't support nothing like that, man.
No. But the thing is though, Cass, the fact that this girl was only asking for 50 grand.
Yeah.
If you really got the goods on him, you'd be asking for a hell of a lot more than 50 grand.
50 grand. That ain't nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
So wow. What's up with that? You know?
That's what's got me. That's why I haven't passed judgment yet.
Yeah, that make you wonder, man. Most people be at least in the 6 digits, hundreds of, maybe $1 million. You know,
especially if they got video and shit. Hell yeah.
In Tank, you only asking for 50 grand? Wow.
That sounds like a cash grab.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I'm really not going to speak too much on it because I'm going to wait and see if there's a video that comes out. And if there's no video that ever comes out about this thing and this shit gets washed under the rug like the last 2 times, then we're going to know something was up with the chick, not him.
Right. Look at all of the 50 grand and all that kind of nonsense. Something don't sound right at all. You know?
No, it don't.
Yeah.
And then Jake Paul came out and said, "Oh, there's a video." Okay, if there's a video, where is it?
Yeah, where is it? Let us see it.
Yep.
You know?
And if there's a video, they'd have damn sure arrested him by now.
If they had a video.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. You know?
I mean, he's on. I think he's either on probation or parole still from the car accident shit with
Yeah.
the woman.
Yeah.
So if there was a fucking video, they damn sure have arrested him by now.
He's definitely still on parole from the hit and run, I think.
That's what I mean. There's just a lot of things that ain't adding up about this shit.
And then the 50 grand is what got me puzzled. That's not no money at all. Somebody that's got millions, and you got.
One thing I can think of, I mean, if you were guilty, if you're tanking, you were guilty, pay the girl and get her out of the way. You know what I mean?
I would have gave her the 50 grand.
Right.
You know?
But the fact he hasn't paid her kind of makes me think he might be innocent, and that's why he's not paying her.
Like B. I want to see this video. If they claim
I
they
do
got
too.
it, put it out there so we can know exactly what happened.
But I'm not going to persecute him until then. Until we get some concrete that I can say, okay, now that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But look, I said it on me and D1's podcast. I said, look, not all of them. And women, if you're listening, not all of y'all, but there are women that work in these strip clubs, and they are looking for a way up.
Mm-hmm.
They see a fucking star, whether it be a football player, whether it be an actor, whether it be a boxer.
They see money.
Right. That's exactly what they see. And if they can't land you in a relationship, they're going to try and get that money any way they can.
Any way they can get it.
Yep.
That might be the case.
That's what I'm thinking. So that's what we need to find out, though.
But
We really do. We need to find out if he's guilty or if he's not guilty.
But he got to take some responsibility and stop putting himself in those situations.
Yeah, bro. That's just flat out stupidity.
Yeah.
He's thinking with his damn you-know-what instead of his brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he's doing. As many times.
I get it. He's young. He's 30 years old. He's young. He ain't got no wife. I get it. But come on, bro. There's a million other places you can find a woman. And when you got that kind of money, they all want you.
Yeah. You got to use better judgment. Many times
Much
he's been
better
in that situation. When is he going to wake up and realize I can't keep putting myself in them situations? You know, I know he want to go back to stay young and he want to go out and enjoy himself, but you know, some situations you just can't put yourself in, man. Because look what happened to him.
Yeah, and there's one thing about strip clubs. There are cameras everywhere. Whether it be the protection of the girls, you need the cameras, or there's cameras also to keep the girls from prostituting in the clubs, getting the clubs in trouble with the law.
So whatever happens on some kind of camera somewhere, man, you know, got to be.
Yeah, if it truly happened, then it's going to be on video.
That's right. It's cameras everywhere you go nowadays. As soon as you come out your house, you want somebody's camera, man.
Well, the strip club's even worse, Cass, because they have cameras in the back door rooms everywhere in them clubs. In the hallways, there are cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the security in them places, especially if it's a big money place, is usually crazy how many security guys they got.
Yeah.
Them security guys would have been all over that shit. If it was happening in the club, them security guys would have been all over it.
Exactly. You know, a place like that got heavy security. A place like
hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's why I said there's a lot of things that don't make sense about this shit.
Not adding up.
And then the 50 grand is really a big telltale, because if she had him locked down and all that shit and on tape, dude, she damn sure be asking for a hell of a lot more money.
You'd be up in the millions.
Damn straight.
It might be another one of them ones that all of a sudden just fizzle away again.
And if it does, then we know.
Yeah. But he got to stop, do something, keep his name from keep popping up.
Yeah, bro, he's got to stop going to the damn strip clubs. I was telling D1, there's a million freaking clubs out there he could go to instead of a damn strip club.
Yeah. That's what he like to do, you know. All the money he got, bring them to him. Have a strip club at his crib. Shit.
Damn straight. Get his manager, get fucking somebody, one of his security guys to go get him some women to come to his house.
Yeah. That's what he like doing. You know, I'm just wondering when they're gonna get tired of his name keep popping up in these stories like this. You know, some people are gonna jump to judgment because they don't like him and just right away see Hank again.
But it sure is funny. It popped right before this fight.
I know.
Didn't it pop right before the other fight too?
Yeah. Always right around the time when he got a fight schedule. These things come up. The last time was before the Roach fight, I think. It was
Think about it.
girl.
It was only 50 grand, right? So how much you want to bet? It's one of them situations where she's like, hey, you want this to go away right before you fight? Pay me.
Yep. Because if it was anything to it, wouldn't she wait until he got all that money?
Yeah.
You know, you getting like, what was he getting? Like 100 million or 50 million or something?
Right. And witnesses ain't going to cut it from the strip club because all she's got to do is tell them girls, hey, man, be my witness. I'll pay you to be the witness.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we need camera. We need the video.
Yeah. They got to have some. When did this happen? How long ago it's been?
In October.
Okay. So the video should have been out there by now then.
Exactly. And we ain't seen peep of nothing.
Nothing. All we heard is talk about it. We haven't seen anything. There might not be nothing to it again. She might be
Mike Rim says Tank's on parole. Well, if Tank's on parole and there's a video, he'd be in jail right now.
Yeah, I know he on something from that hit and run, and then there was another incident after that, you know?
Because you know damn good well his parole officers would have been like, hey, I need to see the video.
Yeah, definitely. They would have went and snatched him up.
But the crazy part is, Cass, he hasn't even been arrested for this yet.
I know, ain't that correct? I don't understand that.
That's why I'm thinking it's a money grab.
Yeah, that's all.
And then people on his team have said it's a money grab.
Yeah.
I don't know, bad situation all the way around. Well, look, dude, I got to get back. I took my break so I could get on here with you for a few minutes.
All right, old school. I appreciate it.
All right, Cass, take it easy, my guy.
You too.
Peace.
Okay. All right, old school. All right, that was William Old School from the Angry White Man podcast. Fridays at 10 p.m. Okay. I hope everybody enjoyed today's show. Tomorrow is going to be boxing in Italy. You know, Thursdays we go on with the different countries. Italy tomorrow. Little history. We're going to look at some boxers from the country. And then we're going to look at some active boxers from Italy. That's in the game right now. That's tomorrow. But right now, it's 4 o'clock, and we got Just Do Boxing coming up next. I told you I was going to take you right up to Just Do. And it's time for Just Do. He might have already started. It's after 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Well, it's after 3 o'clock somewhere. It's 4 o'clock here. But everybody have a great afternoon. I appreciate everybody for coming through today. We had DVO Sports TV, The Drunk Irishman, Just Do Boxing, Ray Patterson, Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz and more, Al Booger, Old School, Mike Rim, Irony Boxing, Crush the Legend, Technique, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody 1,000,000%. We'll be back tomorrow. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Everybody have a great afternoon.